Hello, it's Miss Wylander here, and this video is going over the quiz retake for Unit 4, Lesson 4. So that's Section 3.4, Chapter 3, Lesson 4 in your textbook, but Unit 4, Lesson 4 in Connexus. So in this recording, we're going to go through the problems on that original quiz that you took, the one in Connexus, that you want to earn some points back on. At some point in the video, I'm going to say the secret word, so that's kind of your ticket for a retake. So listen to when I say that word, type that below in the Google form, and that's how I will send you your retake quiz. And then, of course, I'm going to explain the retake procedure. So in general, you'll only have to redo the questions that you missed the first time, but it's still a good idea to watch this entire recording so you get a refresher on all of that material, because if you missed one question, it's still good to watch some of the other ones you might have gotten correct, just because it builds on those skills. So let's get started with question 1 here. So it says, which inequality represents the graph shown below? So the graph has some tick marks on it, but not all of them. So the first thing is to figure out what number does that represent. Well, it's to the left of 0, so it'd be -1, -2. So we know it's at -2. Well, that makes sense. Those are all the options there. Now it's an open circle, so that means it does not include -2, so it is not equal to it. So we can get rid of option, the second and fourth option. I'll cross them out entirely here. And it's going towards the higher numbers, the greater numbers. So it's actually saying that this includes all values that are greater than -2. So it would be x is greater than -2, or that third option. For the second question here, we're just solving an inequality. So we have x minus 7 is greater than 10. So just like when you solve an equation, you're going to try to isolate the variable. The one important rule to remember is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you got to flip the inequality symbol. So here, the inverse of subtracting 7 is adding 7. -7 plus 7 is 0. So we have x. 10 plus 7 is 17. And we did not multiply or divide by a negative number, so the inequality symbol stays the same. We have x is greater than 17. For question 3, we're solving inequality again. This time it's 3x is less than or equal to 21. So 3 times x, the inverse of multiplying by 3 is dividing by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we have x. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Since we did not multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality symbol stays the same. We have x is less than or equal to 7. For question 4, we have 5a minus 2 is less than 18. So again, we're trying to isolate the variable, get a by itself. So we'll add 2 to both sides. -2 plus 2 is 0. So now we have 5a is less than 18 plus 2, which is 20. 5 times a, the inverse would be divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so we have a. 20 divided by 5 is 4. We did not multiply or divide by a negative number, so the inequality symbol stays the same. So we have a is less than 4. For question 5 here, we have 2t plus 8 is greater than or equal to -4, all times the quantity of t plus 1. So first thing I notice is I have the distributive property here. I have a number multiplied by a group. So that means that everything on the outside must be distributed or multiplied to everything on the inside. So -4 times t, which is -4t, and -4 times +1, which is -4. Now we can start simplifying. Since I have variables on both sides of the inequality, I want to make sure they all go on one side. So it doesn't matter kind of which side. I usually put the variable to the left. That's just my default. You can do it the other way. So the inverse of -4t is adding 4t. When you do that, you have 2t plus 4t, which is 6t, still plus 8, greater than or equal to, and now we have -4. Now it looks similar to that last question, so let's get t by itself. So the inverse of adding 8 is subtracting 8. That gives us 6t is greater than or equal to -12. 6 times t, Then inverse is dividing by 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. So we have t. Negative 12 divided by 6 is negative 2. Now, we did not multiply or divide by a negative number. Yes, there is a negative number up here, but remember, it's what you're doing to both sides. So we divided by positive 6, so the inequality symbol stays the same. So our answer is t is greater than or equal to negative 2. For our next question, we're going to match here. So we're matching the inequality to the graph. One thing I noticed right away is that A and D are open circles. That means it's not going to have an equals in the inequality. And B and C do include that number, so they are going to have that little equal sign. So right away, just looking at the inequality symbol, I know that it cannot be D or A because it is equal to something. We'll see if it's 3 or 1. So I'm going to rewrite it up here so we have a little bit more space to answer this question. And again, we have variables on both sides. Let's put them all on one side. So subtract y from both sides. 4y minus y is 3y. We still have the plus 3 because it's not a like term. Y minus y is 0. So we just have 6 left. To isolate the variable, the inverse of adding 3 is subtracting 3. So 3y plus 3 minus 3, 0. So we have 3y is less than or equal to 6 minus 3, which is 3. 3 times y, the inverse would be dividing by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we have y is less than or equal to 1. Well, which graph matches that? Well, here's the inequality filled in the circle at 1. So we're going less than, so our answer would be C. Alright, when we go to the next one here, we're still matching the inequality. So let's notice right away we have this symbol, looks like greater than. So it's not equal to. So it cannot be a filled in circle. So we've already narrowed it down to a 50-50 chance. Let's figure out if it's A or D. So we have negative 2y is greater than 2. To get y by itself, negative 2 times y, the inverse is divide by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1, so we have y. 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1, and remember, since we divided or multiplied by a negative number, we gotta flip the inequality symbol. So we have y is less than negative 1. So we have negative 1 right here. This is pointing towards the lower value, so it looks like A is our answer. For the next question, number 8, we're still matching. Again, look at that inequality symbol to narrow down our choices. It does not include the equal symbol, so it cannot be equal. It cannot be filled in at that value. So we have y divided by 3 is less than negative 1. To get y by itself, we can multiply by 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we have y. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3, so we have y is less than negative 3, which looks like D. For question 9, we're still matching. And again, let's look at an inequality symbol. We have less than or equal to. So that means it's a filled in circle because it includes that value. So we can already narrow out it can't be A or D. Let's figure out exactly which one it is. 3y is less than or equal to 2y plus 3. We have variables on both sides, so we got to put variable on only one side. Let's subtract 2y from both sides. 3y minus 2y is y. 2y minus 2y is 0. We have 3. So y is less than or equal to 3. That looks like option B here. All right. So the next question we have is question 10. Before that, I'm going to say that secret word here that I know you're waiting for. So the secret word is choice. The reason for that is there's a really good quote that I like from J.K. Rowling. That's the author of Harry Potter, one of my favorite book series. And it says, "It is our choices that show us what we truly are, far more than our abilities." So even if you're not a fan of Harry Potter or J.K. Rowling or never read it, I still think it's an important quote. So it is our choices that show us who we truly are far more than our abilities. So remember that you have the choice in the matter if you want to change something, if you want to earn a higher grade in math, if you want to be a famous musician, you got to make the right choices to go towards that. Now for question 10, so that means put choice or choices in for the secret word there in the Google form. So for question 10, it says, Sari has to read a book for English class by the end of the week. She wants to read at least 200 pages in the first 5 days of the week. On average, how many pages should Sari read per day to meet her goal? So she wants to read at least 200. So that means that 200 is the lowest amount, so she wants to read either greater than that or equal to. She'd be happy if she read just 200 pages in the first 5 days of the week. So she has 5 days to do that. And how many pages that mean per day? That's our unknown, so we can see P is equal to pages. So now that we have our inequality, we can solve for that. So to get P by itself, 5 times P, the inverse would be divide by P. What is 200 divided by P? That would be 40. 200 divided by 5, sorry. So 40 is less than or equal to P. The symbol stays the same because we did not divide or multiply by a number. Now this doesn't look in the same form, so if you ever find out this, then we rewrite it so the variable's to the farthest left, and I always look at what does it look like? Well, it's opening towards the P. So there we go. Now it looks like what they want you to enter it in. So P is greater than or equal to 40. Alright, the last question here was a work pad. That's number 11. A painter earns $15 per hour. What is the minimum number of hours that he must work to earn at least $200? Write an inequality to represent the situation and solve it. So this is 2 steps. That's why it's 2 points. 1 to write it, 1 to solve it. So first to write it, you want to earn at least $200 working $15 an hour. So every hour you earn $15. It doesn't tell you what variable to use, so you can use any. Let's see. Let's just use M. Why not? So we have 15M, where M is equal to the number of hours. We want to earn at least $200. So that means whatever we earn, we want that to be greater than or equal to 200. 200 is the smallest amount that we want to make sure we earn, but we would be okay with earning exactly 200. Now that we wrote the inequality, we have to solve it. So 15 divided times M, the inverse is division, divide by 15. 15 divided by 15 is 1. The inequality symbol stays the same because we did not multiply or divide by a negative number. And now we have 20 divided by 15, 200 divided by 15. So you can bring out your calculator, that is A-OK. And you get 13.33333 or 13 and a third. Now since it says what is the minimum number of hours that he must work, well, if he works 13 hours, does he make enough money? Let's see. We can think about it, and then you can kind of check. Well, if he works 13 hours at $15 an hour, it's $195. It doesn't quite work, so it looks like he's got to earn at least 14, which makes sense because it says the number of hours has to be greater than or equal to 13 and a third. So he must earn at least 14 hours. If you have questions with working the work pad, remember you can always write it out, take a picture, and upload it. Or make sure that you're writing it per step, showing us what are you doing each step, explaining your work. If you ended with 13.33333, that's all right. But if you're thinking about how many hours, most jobs aren't going to send you home at a third of an hour exactly, so you can get the money that you know you want. They'll have you stay for the end of that hour there. If you have questions on WorkPad, we have a video on it, or you can let us know. So, what to do now? Well, you got to finish that Google form, put in that secret word that I said earlier. Once you submit it and you have the correct secret word, I'll send you a webmail and it will have your retake quiz attached. Now remember, since you only have to answer the questions that you answered incorrectly, you want to open up your gradebook, figure out which ones you got correct, which ones you got incorrect the first time, and only answer the ones you got incorrect. And then once you submit that, you can write it out on paper, take a picture, and send it in a webmail to me. If you have any questions on this video, remember we have those lesson videos, we have the quiz review video, we have the quiz study guide for the original quiz, and your teachers are always here to help you. So let us know if you have any questions.